Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about another kind of complement called a result complement, and specifically a certain one of them, dao or jian. So a result complement, we've already talked about degree complements, and we just talked about one example of a potential complement with understanding 懂 or 明白. So 看得懂, 看不懂, 听得懂, 听不懂, or 明白 in place of 懂. So in what a result complement is, it's a word or sometimes a word attached to a verb to talk about the result of the verb. A very simple one, for example, is we have 吃 to eat, and then 吃完 means to complete or finish. So 吃完, what do you think that means? That means to be done eating, to finish with the result of doneness, So 吃完 means to finish eating. In the positive, when you say that something has, when we use a result complement, we're going to use 了 because the result has happened or has not happened. So 我吃完了 means I have finished eating. If it's in the negative, I have not finished eating, then it's we're using 没 or 没有. 我没吃完, I have not finished eating. So it's verb plus its result complement talking about what the result of the thing. Now, you might have noticed in the last video I alluded to this. I talked about the potential complement 听得懂 or 听不懂. If we take out the 的 or the 不 and just have 听懂, that is actually an example of result complement where 听 and 懂, 听 is the verb and 懂 is the result. So if I say I understood, it would be 我听懂了, and if I did not understand, it would be 我没听懂. And so, spoiler alert, I talk about this in HSK3, but if you start putting two and two together, you might guess that any result complement, if you put a da or a bu in the middle of it, gets turned into a potential complement, meaning can happen or cannot happen. Does that make sense? But anyway, this particular video is focused on the same two verbs, 看 and 听, that were in the potential complement one, but now we have dao or jian as the result complement attached to it. And in this, with these two verbs, 看 and 听, dao and jian have the same function, meaning, now it's a little bit tough to actually describe this, but it means that, so take 看 means to see, right? So 看 can be to watch, to try to see, whereas 看到 means to seeing actually happens. It's like whether or not something was seen, where 看might mean to look or to watch. And in English that might be like, man, that's really hazy. But you will watch a movie, 看电影. But the question could be, did you see that bird? And there would be 看到 or 看见, which are interchangeable here. Does that make sense? So 你看到了吗? Let's look at some examples. Here we go. This is exactly what I just said. 你看到那个石头了吗? So 石头 is stone. So the question is, did you see that stone? The 了 here is at the end of the sentence. It can go right after the verb. So it could be 你看到了那个石头吗? Or 你看到那个石头了吗? So does that make sense? So if I wanted to say look at that stone, I would say 看那个石头. I would not say 看到. I would not say see that stone. I'm like, look, turn your eyes toward that stone. And then if I'm like, where is it? You could say 你看到了吗? Did you see it? I would say, no, 没看到, or 看不到. Guess what that means? 看不到 means I cannot see it. You see where we're going there? Okay. So then 我听到了你的声音. That means I heard 我听到了你的声音, your voice. So I heard your voice. 我听到了你的声音. Now, kind of in the same as the 看, I listen to music, right? So 我很喜欢听音乐. I really like to 听音乐. I really like to listen to music. But if the sound is too small, I might say, oh, 没听见 or 没听到, I did not hear it, or 我听不到, I cannot hear it. Does that make sense? So the 到 has to do with like completion or it actually happening. I have a hard time describing that without like just giving you examples of it. I'm sure there's a way to say it in English to make the distinction. I just haven't thought of it. It's like in English we just say, "Did you see it?" We don't indicate like, "Did you actually see it? Did seeing happen? Did the connection happen?" We just say, "Did you see it?" Anyway, I want 到 and 见 in this construction with 听 and 看 are interchangeable. They both mean 到 by itself means to arrive, 见 means to meet. But as a result, combined with 看 and 听, they just mean like to see or hear. One of the differences is that 到 can be applied to many different verbs, where 见 cannot be applied to a lot of verbs in the same way. But in this, with 看 and 听, they are interchangeable. You can say 看到, 看见, or 听到, 听见. Okay, I think that's it for this one. The next one, we're going to take a look more at 完, which I already alluded to. Now I'm going to give you a couple examples of 完, which I mentioned at the beginning of the previous segment. It means to finish or complete or be done with something. And it's also a result complement, a verb with its result complement. So this is from All Set Learning. 我今天要写完. I, today, 要, will, or want to, hope to, something like that, plan to. 我今天要写, to write, finish. So what does that mean? It's interesting because with a lot of these result complements, sometimes the Chinese verb plus complement will have more information in it than the translation would in English, or at least a possible translation. Like in English, I might, if I'm talking about an article or a piece of homework or an article, let's say an article, and I want to say I'm going to finish it today, and in context that would be totally understandable. Because the person knows I'm writing it and I'm saying I'm going to finish the article today. When in Chinese, just saying I'm going to finish it includes the information of writing. I'm going to write it with what result? Finishing. 我今天要写完. So today I'm going to finish writing it. Would be fine. That'd be, the best, fullest translation. But we could also say I'm going to finish it today in English. Where in Chinese, normally, you can also say just finish without this whole like verb plus complement thing, but it's just very natural to say verb plus complement, which sometimes has more info than we would say in English. 我今天要写完. 你做完作业了吗? 做完 means, so this can be, because 做 means to do or make, so it's a very general verb that can be applied to many different actions. And therefore, 做完 is one way you can translate to finish something in a kind of generic way. There is actually a word that just means to finish that isn't like this, but but anyway, it's a possibility. 你做完作业, 作业 means homework, 了吗? So the question is, did you finish your homework? You could also say 你做完作业了没有? That'd also be fine. And the answer could be 我做完了 or 我没做完. And then I wanted to point out, here's an example. So 卖完, what does 卖 mean? It means to sell. 卖完, I wanted to point out that idea that I stated, remember, I think it was a video or two ago, talking about how complements need to be learned as a unit with their verb, because sometimes the meaning of the words, when you put it together, you don't get the meaning of the phrase. And this is one of those examples. Why? Because 卖完, you might think, okay, 卖 means to sell, 完 means to be done. So that means that someone is done selling something. They have chosen to stop selling. But it doesn't mean that. It means that something has run out. So if you say like you're looking for for oil, 菜油, vegetable oil. You go into a store and there's nothing there. The seller would say, 卖完了, it's sold out. Or maybe we sold out or whatever. But it's but 卖完 means to be sold out of something or to sell out of something. It does not mean to choose to, like, oh, I'm done selling that. I'm not going to sell it anymore. Does that make sense? So sometimes you have to learn them as a unit. A lot of times you can guess based on the meaning of the verb and its complement separately, and you kind of put it together, and majority of the time you'll probably understand. But my point is that sometimes you have to know what 卖完 means, and then there's like 卖到 is another one that means to successfully sell something. It's kind of like 我卖到了, I sold it off. So anyway, there is one. It is a very, very common result complement. You're doing great. Keep up the good work.